The Arkansas Game and Fish Commission owns more than 300,000 acres of land that's managed for wildlife and public use, including some of the wildest places in the state. And while Game and Fish wildlife management areas see heavy use during fall and winter hunting seasons, and to a lesser degree during permit turkey hunts in the spring, for much of the year, they're largely devoid of hunters, making them a great destination for all sorts of outdoor recreation during hunting's off-season.
Wildlife management areas are pretty heavily used certain times of the year, during a permit hunt, when it's deer season. But the rest of the year, they're pretty quiet. They don't get used as much, so we welcome folks to go on a hike, to go bird watching, to go fishing, because a big proportion of the year they're very quiet places.
Hunting grabs most of the headlines on Game and Fish wildlife management areas, but these lands provide many other options for off-season public use.
There are a lot of neat things you can do in wildlife management areas that people may not think about. There's great paddling opportunities, there's great fishing opportunities, wildlife viewing can be tremendous, and you can do that in a canoe, on a nature trail, or just walking, one of our roads through a WMA. Some of our areas are a bit more developed and have interpretive signs and nature trails and things to help you, but if you're looking for a wilderness experience, go to Caney Creek Wildlife Management Area. You can get out there.
WMAs are a great place to pitch a tent or string up a hammock for wilderness camping.
You need to keep in mind these are primitive sites, so there's no water or electricity or bathhouses or anything like that. But for those that kind of want to get off the grid, these are free first come, first served sites. Many of them are in beautiful locations, so there's great camping opportunities throughout our WMAs.
If hiking's your thing, wildlife management areas offer all sorts of trails and primitive roads.
So we've developed a number of nature trails on our wildlife management areas, and many of these have interpretive signs where you can learn about the management work that the Game and Fish Commission does, but really neat places like the Kings River Overlook up in Madison County WMA, or you can hike along Lake Maumelle here in Pulaski County and see, prescribed fire at work and learn more about that sort of thing and get wonderful views of the lake. If it's not a designated nature trail, we also have lots of fire lanes and roads that run through our WMAs that you're welcome to walk.
Game and Fish also maintains a series of automobile tours that highlight natural places and the Commission's work to create better wildlife habitat.
And we have several auto tours and probably more to come. One of my favorites is Grandview Prairie Wildlife Management Area, and that's Blackland Prairie down generally around the Hope area. And spring is a great time to take a drive through the WMA and see all the wildflowers that are blooming, all the birds and pollinators and things that spend time on that prairie.
Water trails, some with trail markers and others that can be followed with geo-referenced maps, provide miles of canoeing and kayaking.
Bio-to-View water trails in the Big Woods, one of the famous areas in Arkansas where the ivory-billed woodpecker search happened. So if you go to agfc.com, you can download geo-referenced maps, get driving directions, and learn all about how to paddle in some of these really neat places in our state.
If you want to see wildlife in their natural habitat, there's no better place than a Game and Fish wildlife management area.
So there's so much variety in Arkansas and so many different types of wildlife to view seasonally. So, Gene Rush Wildlife Management Area near the Buffalo River is a premier spot to go look for elk, during the fall rut. Wonderful spot to go. But, then during the winter months when we get these huge migrations of waterfowl, there's wonderful spots to go view wildlife in eastern Arkansas and the Delta. I love to get out in my canoe in Bio-to-View and see, the waterfowl that's coming through. And keep in mind, I paddle after the shooting hours are over when duck hunters have cleared out, and use the afternoon hours when it's warmer to go view wildlife. Here in central Arkansas, Bell Slough Wildlife Management Area gets a wonderful migration of migratory birds both in the spring and the fall. So if you're into some spring birding, it's a great place to go see neotropical migrants and all sorts of other birds and wildlife coming through the area.
Game and Fish WMAs are well-known hunting destinations, but they're also great places to pursue many other types of outdoor recreation. Information on the areas and hunting season dates is available at agfc.com.